Hello, my name is Alexander Stefanov, and I am a senior software developer at Virtuozzo. Probably you know this company by technology openvz. Um, well, we most know just like an openvz. Well, and Virtuozzo, it is our commercial product. Well, let's start. At first, we need to get rid about of the confusion. What is containers? Usually, people think that containers it's something about Docker, but in fact, container the term container in virtualization world lives much longer than Docker exists. And traditionally, it used for lightweight virtualization. Lightweight, it's if we compare it with virtualization, trust the hypervisor. When you create when you create a heavy virtual machine, heavy it's when machine emulates and CPU, RAM, PCI, and other stuff. Well, in contrast, a container virtualization is almost a virtual machine which runs on the same kernel. For example, if you run Linux, then you're able to run Linux containers, and can't run something else like Solaris, for example, or BSD. Containers exist not only in Linux world, but of course in BSD and Solaris and probably other. Don't know what's going on in MacOS. Probably they invent own bicycle. Well, this technology consumes much less resources than heavy VMs via hypervisor, and often this like various web hosting providers because they want to run a lot of lightweight containers, then run less amount of virtual machines, and they trying to reduce their costs. Well, this technology exists about 15 years, yes, and of course it's LXC, Docker, and our project Virtuozzo, and our open source project openvz. At first need to say why Docker became so popular. It's because it's an easy way to run user applications. For example, if you when you need to run a database, for example, if you need to run a database, you just like to isolate it in one single and simple container. And if 15 years ago the launch of the operating system within other operating system, it was wow, but nowadays it's not so wow. Well, and I can say that is pretty far from wow, because people and users are lazy and they don't want to install, don't want to download an ISO, install it, then update. Of course, ISO is outdated often. End users don't want to install it. Well, and it's a reason because Docker and containers so popular. Yes, users need software. Well, how to deliver a software to a container. There is much ways. Ways are different. Well, it's too much ways, and the ways are different. And I'm trying to see how to receive it. Wait a moment. Well, how users can achieve various pre-created VMs. I'm talking about templates. For example, if you want distro Ubuntu with Apache or with Redis database or with Mongo or something else, here is several ways to deploy it. First, we can pre-create a bunch of VMs. Even I can say that it's a zoo of VMs. For example, VM with Apache, VM with PHP, VM with Ruby, and other. What's wrong here? You need to support and maintain a lot of containers. You need to pull security fixes. You need to update it. You need to maintain it. You need to support it. And when it's too much container with templates, it's just a hell. Well, and third way, it's automatic creation automatic install after container creation. This way we are using in Virtuozzo. For example, if you want to create an LXC container in Ubuntu with CentOS, it's hard because you need to find a way to bootstrap it. If you run Ubuntu, you need to install YAM, but YAM has a lot of Python dependencies, probably own dependencies, like in CentOS. It's difficult. Just trust me, it's very difficult to create machine, and usually in LXC, people prefer download pre-created templates, as I said on a previous slide. It's not a good way. Well, in general, put to Linux in the container possible in many ways. The question is how to live after install. As I said, need to support it, install updates and do other stuff. In Virtuozzo, we organize it such an approach. It is based in the first place on the fact that we have our own set of tools. And a heterogeneous system, and we don't need to reinvent some weird ways to install and execute scripts. Oh yes, and of course you must know how Linux distro works, because of when you unpacking Linux in container, you need to execute various pre or post pre-delete scripts and other stuff. It's usually hard because of every package manager has own hacks in RPM scripts, and from time to time it's looks like a hell. Well, what is container delivering? It's when you unpacking specially prepared archives. Usually, you know it like depths are RPM. Well, what it is? For example, what it is RPM package? It is a CPIO archive that contains special formatted metadata with build time, with scripts, with triggers, and most important thing is requires. For example, package bash requires lib readline. Well, and most difficult here is to unpack container in the right order. Well, 5 minutes left. I'm trying to hurry up. Well, in general, OS installation, it's RPM, dep, archive, and packaging in the correct sequence. Of course, with executing scripts and triggers, and packing it at right order. Package full requires library bar. In additional special package manager nuances, like what hard-coded in RPM-RC files, scriptlets, etc. What we do in Virtuozzo, well, we have a special tool that we call vzpkg. It's tool written in C, and part of this tool is a wrapper for specially prepared and modified package manager for various Linux distros. For example, it's DNF, Yum, Zipper, and etc. You don't need to pull special pre-created VMs from web hosting. It's all this stuff you can create on own machine, and you do not need to worry about what's running here. On Virtuozzo Linux, you just can create Ubuntu template with absolutely default tools, vzpkg. Well, what we have kinds of templates. We separated two kinds. It's OS templates and app templates. For example, OS templates, it's basic for Ubuntu. It's a minimal system. Are basic for CentOS. It's Bash and minimal set of tools like Bash, Yum, and probably several others. In sum, it's about 100 packages, not so much. Well, and second, it's an app templates like PHP, Apache, MySQL, Redis, and etc. Well, well, how to use it? It sounds and looks very easy. With ZKTL, create number of your container. In fact, it's just a name, OS template, and you need to put here what you want. In my example, it's just Ubuntu. Well, second line, it's an app template. Well, and third, it's example of removing. Well, sounds very useful and fast. That's all, guys. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you very much. Alexander, anybody, any questions? So is the result actually a different type of container than a Docker template or a Docker container?
What was?
Is the resulting container something different than a Docker container?
Yes, it's Docker. It's about it's based on the same principles, but Docker is for isolations for application isolation. When you need to run just a database, just a simple database, you can run Docker, and you can run Docker inside openvz container, just for other purposes. As I said, this technology prefer web hosting providers because they need to run very much containers on the hardware, then run less amount of virtual machines. Just an openvz, it's for like a small virtual machine. It's not about application isolation.
So one last question. See a hand over here.
How do you manage repositories and the repository lists? I mean, different versions for the same package?
Repositories for distros, it's just a standard repositories. We don't invent bicycles here, just use standard, what distro suggests.
Could people try and leave if they want to via that side, so that people coming in can move from that side, please? Because otherwise it's going to be really busy.
So any more questions, or is this okay?
That's all. Thank
That's
you.
all the time we have. Thank you all.